So today we are going to speak on, again, mastering the mind. The whole thing is about mastering our minds anyway, isn't it? But once you learn to master the mind, you stop mastering the mind, because after a while it becomes too much work. It's way too much work. Nowadays, people get so involved in mastering the mind. Oh, it's all about mindfulness, that we pay too much attention to certain ideas. Sandra was talking with me just now at 5 o'clock, and he was saying, once you have an idea in your head, that's it. It's hard to break it, isn't it? It's hard to break away. And today our topic is really mastering the mind through non-attachment. And that's it. This is what happens. We have an idea in our head, and then we think that's the way it should be. So when things aren't the way we think it should be, what happens? We get disappointed. We become unhappy. So how do we get out of all this, Because so we have the basics, which we call, Sri Patanjali calls, practice. What is practice? It's effort. The effort you put into steadying your mind. So in yoga, this is called dharana, concentration. So concentrate, focus. This is the practice, focus. Now, you can never focus on one object alone if you have so many desires and so many wants and so many expectations. So you might focus on a beautiful rose, and from the rose you'll go, oh, I remember the time when I was given the rose and it was a bad relationship, and whoa, and before you know it, where's the rose? It's gone, right? So the practice is really, really important. By practicing alone, meditating every day, doing hatha yoga every day, doing all this every day is great because it prepares us. There are tools we can use. There are lots of tools. There's sound gongs, there's music, there are plenty, there's zillions of tools. There's art, there's creativity, there's writing a book, there's finding yourself. They're all tools. The idea is to get to the nitty-gritty. So what is the nitty-gritty? Simply, I'll give you a little story, okay? There was this, they just got married, husband and wife, sitting on a bench. And the wife says, oh, darling, I'm so happy. We've been waiting to get married for so long. We finally did it. We finally saved up. We had a beautiful, simple wedding. I'm so happy. And he answered her. He said, yeah, now that that's done, I would really be happy if we could have another few thousands of dollars. And she said, but we waited so long to be here. And now do we have to wait to be there? Do you see? This is our mind constantly wanting more. And the whole idea of yoga, why is it? It's to focus on the internal world, not the external world. We focus within. Why do we focus within? I'd like to read to you something from the Upanishads. I actually was fixing my drawer this morning and it slipped out from one of my old books. I thought, oh, I must share it with you. So, what is our purpose? How do we get away from this nonsense, this mastering of the mind, constantly analyzing, constantly working, constantly trying to free ourselves from these desires? But Nalanie, I can't help it. I have this desire. Nothing wrong with it. But remember, does this desire cause you pain? If it does, maybe you have to let it go. Or just wait. If it's meant for you, come. It is the stressing of the desire, the waiting for that money, the waiting for that something. But there's nothing to wait for. If we can only learn that, there is nothing to wait for. There is only here and now. And this is why, people are saying so many people are dying. Young people are leaving this earth. What's happening? I think precisely their souls have chosen to teach us, awake, You guys have knowledge. You guys already know there is spirit in you, but you get so carried away with your desires, and you get so carried away with your moods, and you get carried away with the I wants, and that drives you crazy. So what to focus on? Creation. The Lord of love willed, let me be many. And in the depths of his meditation, he created everything that exists. Meditating, he entered into everything. He who has no form assumed many forms. Wow, we are it. They use here, he, just for ease. So we are he. Okay? He who is infinite appeared finite. So we are infinite, but we think this is the only life we have. This is the cause of our problems. He who is everywhere assumed a place. We took a body. We got this body. He who is all wisdom caused ignorance. Why? Why did the divine cause this ignorance? And this is a question I asked in my early days. Why? Why did the divine make it so complicated? Because if it wasn't, if everything was too easy, we would get bored. We needed a challenge. We all need a challenge. If life becomes too easy, what happens to you? You become lazy, you get bored. I often talk about retirement. When many people I know retire and just decide they're going to play golf for the 6 months, they normally end up very sick. I remember I met a lawyer in Marbella many, many years ago. And she said to me, oh, Nalanie, never retire. I said, I don't intend to. You know, my master says, retire from the work, but retire into something else, your spiritual self. Your spiritual self. Bhajagovindam by Shankaracharya, great saint of the 6th century, said, he passed a village and he saw an old man, 82, studying grammar, learning grammar. And he goes, old man, are you blind? Are you blind? Why are you studying all these grammar rules and suffering? Why are you not just living your life? And understand this is the next step, is spirit and living in this spirit and living it greatly with the divine joy it's given you, instead of stressing out about grammar rules. But is it not true? Is it not true? People stress out to become something, always wanting to become something else, and not accepting our own precious divine gifts, working on them, and just becoming divine again. There's only one job to do, to love and to be divine. But it's hard to do. And this is why we have all these words and we have all these books, because it helps to adjust our way of thinking. When our thinking becomes too narrow, when our ideas become too fixed, boom, something will happen to release it. So every time you experience a suffering, it's actually to awaken us. It reminds us of who we are. And this is what he's saying here. This is who we are. Shivoham, Shivoham. I am Shiva, Shiva I am. It means I am everything. I am everything. So he who is real caused unreality. It is he who has become everything. It is he who gives reality to all. Before the universe was created, Brahman existed as unmanifest. Now, Brahman is another word for divine consciousness, God, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Brahman brought the Lord out of himself. Therefore, he is called the self-existent. So this is why in yoga we learn to look for our higher self. Who am I? What am I really? This higher self is this Lord of love. Remember the first sentence, the Lord of love willed, let there be many. Let there be many. The self is the source of abiding joy. Our hearts are filled with joy in seeing him, enshrined in the depths of our consciousness. So that's when we gain joy, because when you start to understand, okay, I'm infinite, okay, this body is temporary, okay, you know what, this personality was given to me to be refined, you know, and defined to know who I really am, a child of God or the child of the universe, and that's why I received this body. This is all we can do as human beings. And when we know that, the pain lessens, the sorrow lessens, the fear lessens, because we're not tied to this idea that we have this human body and we have to do X, 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 X in order to be happy, but instead to learn to be happy right now. And that's when we get so attached to all those things, and this is where the non-attachment comes in. And we forget that this is the only time we have. And it's in us. I was giving a talk in Avebury in England the other day, and I said, you know, we're always looking to be there. And somebody in the audience answered, but there is no there. There is only here. And I had to applaud her. Brilliant, you're absolutely right. There is no there, there is only here. She, I spent so much of my life just trying to understand that. And she said, I'm saying the words, but I still have to learn them. And that's the practice, right? Because we know the words, we read the words, we understand the words, but that's where the practice comes in. That's where the knowledge comes in. That's where the joy comes in. So instead of practicing, I want to reach samadhi and make it so stressful and have to be so strict, make it so joyful, because God is the Lord of love. Lord Jesus said, right, again, they will know you as one of my brethren if you live in love. And that's how they will know you. And of course, we control this love by creating these ideas of separation. And we are living in a world now that everything is more and more and more and more separated. So many definitions for genders. I accept all genders anyway. Do you see, why should I need to separate you like this? We're all one. We make it so confusing when we can just love all of it. There's no need to separate. You can be who you are. I love you anyway. I love you anyway. And this is how the growth happens. We are one. I love you anyway. It's not about what your human body looks like. It is about you. And I love it, because so many yogis or so many people in the spiritual path, we think that, you know, finding this self is so painful. Life is painful enough. We don't need to make it more painful. It's painful enough. The journey should be joyful, not painful. So, and he says, the self is the source of abiding joy. Our hearts are filled with joy in seeing him, enshrined in the depths of our consciousness inside. If he were not there, who would breathe? Who causes us to breathe? He it is who fills every heart with joy. When one realizes the self in whom all life is one, changeless, nameless, formless, then one fears no more. And that's when the fears start to go. When you start to connect with this every day, every day, every day, that's why we say meditate every day, otherwise you lose it. The world is gross, it's a big challenge, you know. It's like playing a game of snakes and ladders. Any of you played the game of snakes and ladders? Right? You never played it? It's really, every day. I used to love it, yeah. I always used to win, by the way. I was lucky. You know, there was a board, and there's 100 little squares, and you throw a dice, and when you hit the space where there's ladders, you go up the ladder, and you hit a place where there's snake, you go down. So you go down, down, up till one day you get to the last square and you win the game. Yeah. So it is like this. Life is like that, you know. And this is what we have to understand. We may go 5 steps up with our practices, and then suddenly, after 6 years of practicing, you suddenly go whoops all the way down, and you go, what happened? No problem. Throw the dice again. Practice again. You will always end up. If you keep playing, you will end up right at the top. You can never lose, right? And this is how I always looked at the spiritual practice. Okay, when I had my periods of down, I've gone down the snake. And isn't it interesting? Kundalini is represented by a whirling snake. So it's really interesting when you see all these things. Yeah, so we just go through the snake, no big deal. Don't punish yourself so much. This is also part of attachment. We're attached to ideas of good and bad. So if I make a mistake, I am bad. So we start to feel guilty. So we build this world in our head that I'm evil, I don't deserve it. Then our body gets sick because we don't like ourselves. How can you not? Maybe you don't like yourself. It's normal if you're not nice. But love yourself, because the real you is divine. So what you don't like is the practice again. I don't like that I get jealous. Fix it. You know what? Just fix it. Every time you see yourself jealous, see the feeling in your heart. It's not comfortable. Then you ask yourself, do I really want to be uncomfortable? By feeling jealous, I'm the only one suffering. I am the one who is suffering, nobody else. Do I really want to do this to myself? And that's the practice. Then what you do is you bring the jealousy whenever you feel it, and you feel the pain of it. You feel it 100%, and you go, this is not me. This is just a figment of my mind that wants something this person has. That's all. And I can't have what this person has. So what do I need to do? I need to befriend this person and see how she got that, if I really want that. Learn from that person and hopefully delight in her greatness or his greatness. And then, wow, that was easy. It's so much easier than being jealous. So much easier than being jealous. Jealousy drowns us, okay? And like that with all the other emotions, greed, arrogance, anger, aggression, all these things just drown us. Guilt. So look at your life and see the things that you are attached to. When one realizes the self in whom all life is one, then one fears no more. Until we realize the unity of life, we live in fear. And that's the truth. Unless and until the moment comes when we start to understand that really my Father and I are one. And it's okay to say that I am a child of the divine. And it's also okay to say that I am Shiva. It's okay to say that. The light of radiance of Buddha lies within me. Yeah, repeat it. Just repeat it. It's hard for the human mind to understand that. But when you start to keep saying it, what happens? You start to see that you, as a human personality, are really a figment of imagination. It's like a hologram. We're like holograms. And how I understood that is, have any of you ever watched Star Trek? Mm-hmm. Okay, some of you never. It's a sci-fi, right? And my husband, my late husband, used to love it, so I used to watch it with him all the time. Learned a lot. And there they had, when they went on holidays, because they were on a starship, they couldn't go on holidays, they had what you called a hologram room. So in that hologram room, they could take on any personality, choose any environment they wanted, and it would become real. It just became real to them. So they would go into this room and maybe visualize a beach scene with palm trees, sitting down, having a drink with their girlfriend or boyfriend and having a ball until they get the beep beep message, time to come back to work. And then they go back to the starship, holiday over. But during that time, it's real. So basically, this is how I understood it. And I remember telling my husband at that time, so you see, that is yoga, and we have to learn to do this in this life. So when the bad part comes, we just look at it as a movie and say, I'm in a hologram. When the good part comes, we go, oh my God, I'm in the good part now. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to savor it. I'm not going to miss it because tomorrow may not be there. So I'm going to make so sure that I'm going to enjoy now. And that's what happens, because you can see the hologram of life, and we're put into situations that we've actually asked for, because the Lord of Love just gave us love and joy and said, now do what you like. And that was the biggest mistake. That was the biggest mistake, because we got too greedy and we got too selfish and we got too uncaring and we forgot to love each other and we forgot to care for each other. We just got I, me, and mine. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, sloka 70. Let me read that to you. This is the secrets. This is where we kind of remind ourselves of all these things. Someone with personal desires will not experience true peace. When all desires merge like different rivers flowing into the vast deep ocean, then peace is easily realized. Now, when I first read that many years ago, I said, oh, am I not allowed to enjoy anything? Am I not allowed to want something? And I go, that's not very fair. And then many years later, I realized every time I wanted something like, for me, I need this to be happy, I became unhappy. But instead, when I followed Sri Patanjali and practiced contentment, by the practice of contentment, what happens? Let's see who remembers. Supreme joy is gained. They remember, they're good, they remember. Thank you, yes. And then I go, there is the key. I want personal desire, I'm feeling unhappy, so I'm just gonna say, I'm grateful for everything I have. That's why the Buddhists say, practice gratitude, right? I'm content. And then you go around your home, and this is a really, really good practice. Now, this is the practice, and you count how many things you're grateful for, and before you know it, you go, oh my God, I must be the luckiest human being on this earth. I must be the luckiest. Not only do I have peace and joy, I have a home full of trinkets that make me laugh and say thank you. I have a partner that I love to bits. I have kids, I have this, I have that. How did I even feel like I didn't have what I needed? How did I even get there? Because of course, when you go out a lot, when you're younger and you go to lots of things, your mind gets distorted because you're listening to so much stuff. I want to be the best yoga teacher. I want to be this, I want to be that. And the spiritual world, the spiritual egoism comes in. Yeah, so this is what happens to our minds. It's so interesting, right? So when you study yourself is the best practice of all. Really, we can't spend our time studying. Don't waste so much time trying to fix everybody else. We can't. Spend this time discovering, fixing ourselves. Not fixing it, because it's always here. We just have to unload the rubbish. Throw it out. Purge it out. Purge it out. This is how you realize that, okay, so here it says, like different rivers flowing into a vast deep ocean, then peace is realized. So that we look at all our desires, personal desires, okay? And then we go, oh my God, there is nothing. I mean, I have everything I need. I have everything. Can you all say it?
I have everything I need.
Yeah, again.
I have everything I need.
And then all your desires suddenly disappear. And you start to realize that everything is right here. The ocean of love is right here. And then peace comes again. Peace comes and settles in your heart again. And then 71, peace is experienced by anyone who lives without longing, this is the word, for anything, free of all personal desires and with no individual sense of me and mine. What does that mean? Oh, it's all about me. It's my life. I need to do this. I have to practice 10 hours a day. There's a difference in somebody who says, I love my practice. And I have seen many yogis do this, and please don't make this mistake. They tell their family, well, I need my yoga time, and I have to practice because, who would want to come into yoga after listening to this nonsense? I wouldn't. So if you want to practice, you tell people nicely, I need my time to grow. I don't mean to upset you. This personal desire to grow will make me a better person. If I am a better person, your life around me will be better. So do you see, it's not really a personal desire, but freedom from attachment to even your own practice. And understanding why you're practicing. You're not catching a boat. You're not practicing to make everybody else miserable. And this is what happens with people in families, you know. I remember a yoga teacher, her child was so disturbed. And I said, what's wrong, darling? Why are you so upset? Says, my mom tells me to practice yoga, but she's always screaming at me all day. Why is she screaming at you? Because she has to rush to the center to give a yoga class. So the me, the selfish me is what we're looking for. Not the me who wants to get better, to live a better life. Okay? That is different. Because if you live in joy, you are living in the joy of the divine. Because the divine is joy. Did you hear it? This is how many thousands of years old? I don't even know. And this is the message we keep getting again and again and again and again. We keep getting caught up and trying to be something we're not. So then he says, this Arjuna is the absolute state on experiencing it. There are no further questions. If established in this awareness at the time of bodily death, there is just the merging into the oneness that is called God. That's all there is at the time of bodily death. And that's really the goal, right? To merge into that peace and to that tranquility. But all the yogis and all the teaching is, don't wait till the last moment. Live it now. So please, if you've always had that nagging thing in your soul to say, write a book or sing a song or tell a story, offer yourself to the world, do it for the world. And if you're shy and scared and fearful, tell yourself you don't have the right to be shy and fearful, because shyness is also a form of egoism. You're scared of what people think about you. Wow, when my master told me that, I learned a big lesson. He says also, because you're scared of what people think about you. And I remember saying to Gurudev, how do I do it? You want me to teach, but how do I teach? And he goes, well, what I always said is, when I go out there, I just allow the words to come through. If I say something wrong, and guess what? I'm God's fool. If I say something right, I'm God's instrument. Win-win. It's never my fault. And it's never my praise. Both ways, right? Never my fault and never my praise. So why worry about anything else? And that changed me so much. And I train many of my students to try and speak about what they know, not what they don't know. Because then the energy doesn't come through. Because if you speak about something you don't know, you become a hypocrite to yourself, right? And you're trying to teach somebody something that you're not even sure of. But do teach what you do know. Because all of us know things, and all of us can share things, When we just stop being fearful, we stop looking out there, and we look in there for what we have been given. So, and I remember a story that our master told us. I'd love to tell it now. He said once, criminal came out of prison, and he said to Gurudev, he said, yeah, you are telling me that everybody is useful. You tell me, Swami Satchidananda, how can I be useful? I've been in jail all my life, and all I've done is hurt people. And I need people to help me to get better. How can I be useful? And Gurudev said to him, oh, you've been really useful. He looks, what? He says, you taught people not to be like you. Otherwise they'd end up in prison. So you see, everybody has a use. And then when he was giving a talk in India, I remember, with all the police, the whole, with the superintendents, lawyers, he said he was asked to speak there. And just before he spoke, the superintendent was saying, oh, these criminals, they're horrible human beings, da-da-da-da, and really breaking down these people. And then Gurudev came up on the stage and he said, oh, superintendent, thank you for looking after our country and our people. We need people like you. But you know what? Without those thieves, without those people, you would not have a job. The lawyers will not have a job. We wouldn't be sitting here discussing this. There would be nothing for us to do. And he went down the way of how many jobs would be lost without the criminals. And when he said that, I went, wow. And then you apply it to your own life. You see, when you hear these teachings, remember, the secret is to apply it to your own life. So I then applied it to my own life. And you all know the story about the rubbish man, right? Well, for those who don't know, I'll repeat it again. When I was living in Gibraltar, 5 o'clock, 5:30, every morning, the rubbish van would come and collect the rubbish, but they would make so much noise. Bang, bang, screaming, swearing, shouting. So one day I got so irritated, right? And I went to the window, and then I saw at that moment this chap collecting this bin and all of the rubbish went on top of him. But he didn't get angry. They both started laughing. They started screaming at each other. And then I thought, oh my goodness. I thought of Gurudev's story. And I said, without these people, our streets would be filthy. I could never do a job like that. And I think I'm helping a few people by giving a talk. They're helping thousands more by cleaning the land. And that woke me up. It just woke me up to the importance of everyone in this world. So when you hear a story, take it, apply it in your life. Because you will immediately, the moment you decide to apply it in your life, you will get an example immediately. And you're taught. It's almost like the universe, when you really want to be a good person, to live a good life, and to live a joyful life, and this is mastering the mind, the universe will give you everything you need. So in the beginning, when you start on this path, oh my God, do you get a lot of tests. But the tests are not there to hurt you. They're there to see how strong you are, how you can focus your mind, how when you have so much desire and how much pain it costs, how you finally get to a position is, I trust, I'm letting go of this desire, I'm going to do what is right, and my answer will come. And you wait. And you wait. And whoever is on the road to righteousness, you know what happens? As Lord Jesus said, whoever follows God in all its righteousness, what happens? Everything you need will come to you. Because you know everything is there. You're not chasing anything. The more you chase, the more it runs away. Have you noticed? That's where stress comes from. That's where stress, I want it, and it slips. It slips. You say, if it's meant for me, it'll come. I want this because I know it'll make my life better. No problem. But it's not going to control me. If it comes, brilliant. If it doesn't come, something better is coming. I always say, God's plan is perfect. Just keep repeating that. And the other day, my brother-in-law was on the phone on Sunday to me, and he said, this was happening. And he said, but now you always say God's plan is perfect. And I said, it is. So why worry about it? He said, I said, oh, Sunil, I love that you said that. Yeah, that's exactly it. Why worry about it? It is as it is. It is as it is. And Rumi, the great Sufi poet, always said, it is the way it is. So accepting that, wow, that is the biggest non-attachment. That is the biggest non-attachment. Just accepting that it is the way it is so hard for the human mind to do. So you can't do it with your mind. As Shankaracharya said, you can't do it with this. I can tell you, but you have to go home and you have to experience it yourself. Whichever practices work for you. What practices work for you? My practices work for me. What practices work for you? Truth is one, paths are many. Just get there. Just get to your joy before you die, guys. That's all I want for you all, because I found it. And that's it, really, literally accepting the pain, accepting the joy, accepting that it's a game, and we can get through this. We can get through it all. This is the real non-attachment. Non-attachment is not struggling and fighting, and I can't have you anymore, or I can't eat this anymore. How many vegetarians I know, because they come to yoga, force themselves to be vegetarian, and then in their mind, oh, I really want to eat that chicken, or I really want to eat that. You know what? Just get it out of your system. When the time is right, you will drop it naturally. It will happen naturally. It happened with Les, because he was at his steaks, etc., etc. And then one day he just decided, I can't eat meat anymore. But he still feels he needs his fish. Fine, it happens in your own time. Where is all the judgment? It really breaks my heart when people tell, you're bad because you eat this, that means I'm better than you. Food is just substance. Yes, it's important for our body, and we should eat so healthy because it's good for our body. It sustains it when we eat the right food. It's important. But it's sick if we eat the right foods and condemn everybody else that doesn't, or we think they don't. We don't know what their journey is. We're breaking the first law called ahimsa. We're saying, you're breaking the law, but what are we doing? Much worse, because that is outside. What goes inside is much worse. The judgment is poison. The judgment is poison, and this is what I have learned from my life. The judgment poisons me. It doesn't poison anybody else. I don't know what that journey is, and I don't have the right to do that. So this is non-attachment, this acceptance of all these ideas, as you said today, Sandra, ideas, the people have to be a certain way, the things have to be a certain way. No, those ideas all came from the divine. When the time is right, things get, it's like the Rubik's Cube. And when the time is right, you just get it. When the time is right, everything will just like the Rubik's Cube will come into place. Sometimes we just need to be patient and wait and enjoy the wait. This is the challenge. The waiting is the challenge. Do not fear it. And this is part of the non-attachment. There is so much more in the field of non-attachment. You see, because Sri Patanjali tells us we have to practice and non-attachment. First step in non-attachment, Sutra 15, Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali. The consciousness of mastery in one who is free from cravings of objects seen or heard is non-attachment. Now this is very fancy language. What does it mean? When we ourselves, one becomes conscious, we becomes conscious that we are becoming free for the cravings, because we start with a lot of cravings, and that's why we come to, I'm fed up with all these cravings and I just want some peace, right? When we start to become conscious that we are becoming free of all these things that trap us, these cravings, they're objects or they're something we heard that we want. And when we know that we can resist it, this is self-mastery. This is non-attachment. But this is the first stage of non-attachment. And the second stage, which is a little bit more complicated, and don't worry about it, I'll just explain it a little bit to you, comes naturally. You cannot make this happen. Comes in time, comes with experience, comes with pain, comes with illness, comes with letting go, or comes with phenomenal peace and love and joy of the divine, that nothing else is important but that joy. But it comes. And here it is, Book 116. When there is non-thirst for even the gunas, constituents of nature, due to realization of the true self, that is supreme non-attachment. Now, what are the gunas? In nature, we call prakriti, okay, in Sanskrit, nature. Everything in nature that surrounds us in all dimensions is gunas. Gunas are qualities, essences of nature. Rajas, energy, lots of movement, lots of selfishness, much going on, busyness, right? We need that in life sometimes. We have to have that to drive us. Otherwise we'll be lazy, okay? And then the second one is tamas, inertia, apathy, bored, lazy. That's tamas, heavy, depressed energy. And then the third one is sattva, which is a state of peace. A state of peace. This is what we are searching for when we do all these practices in meditation, to search for this peace. But he's saying, going beyond all three and realizing that everything is divine brings ultimate non-attachment. In other words, the Lord of love willed, let me be many, when you have realized there is only one. You don't get involved with the many. So for example, we always think we want peace, but there are days when you're not going to have peace. Not even being attached to, today I have no peace, but just an acceptance. Okay, today I have no peace. What to do? Don't worry about it. I've got no peace, maybe I go sleep. Don't disturb the world. As Master Shivananda would say, don't disturb the world. You want to disturb yourself, go ahead, but acceptance of even that. Acceptance, today I have no peace. Or today you feel lazy, you just want to watch a movie. Yeah, my body needs acceptance. Or sometimes the mind goes wild. You watch it. And you understand it has to go like that in order to achieve something. You trust the perfect plan. You don't fear the plan. You don't keep judging yourself, so you do all kinds of wrong moves. You just allow. But you're watching. It's hard to explain. But you have to allow. And if it goes out of hand, this is the mastery. When it starts to go out of hand, it starts to be me, I want to be important, I want to do that. That's when you stop. You stop, you're done. When the ego comes in, that's what you watch. You just watch it. You don't judge it, you see it, and then you know when to change it. And the stress goes. And it's all letting go of all those desires to be famous, to be known by everybody, which is one of the greatest things that people suffer. There's a new film out called Elvis, by the way. Yeah. Have you seen it? Isn't it brilliant? It's brilliant. And then you think, oh my God, it's very well done, huh? How people who are famous are totally manipulated, how vulnerable they are. And you go, why would you want to be famous? It really makes you think, why would anybody want so much stuff? Let's just be at peace. I must live a simple, you were saying, want to live a simple, easeful, peaceful life. If I'm needed, I'll be there. If I'm not needed, no problem. So keep your life full. That's the idea. Make yourself full, joyful in your own company, joyful in your own energy, because really when you got that own energy, you're with God. You're with God. I'm really happy. You know, I watch an episode of Friends and I get really happy. I say, oh God, you created all this, all it's me, there, everywhere. So you wanted me to laugh so much for you. So I'm going to laugh a lot for you and for me. You see, it's and then you get into this language in your head. So there is no time for negativity. There is no time to feel sorry for yourself. Of course, there are days you're going to be grumpy. Normal. So you're getting the gist of supreme non-attachment. It's really difficult to understand. And non-attachment is really a very powerful part of self-mastery, and there's so much in it. But if you can go to the highest source, as the Bhagavad Gita says, as all the scriptures tell us, I am Shiva, Shiva, I am, but so is everybody else. I may know it, they don't know it. So if I know it, let me share it. And how do you share it? You just love. It's so simple, and it calls it the Lord of Love. You just love. And some people go, Nalanie, I'm not a people person. I just find human beings a bit hard. So I said, great, get animals, love them. Because it's easy. For you, animals is easy. For me, people are easy. See, we all have a gift. For me, animals is not easy. Some people love gardens. For them, gardens are easy. I'm a lousy gardener. I only sing to my plants. Do you know? So, and then you see, everyone is divine. Thank God I got a great gardener who can do that job well. Thank God somebody can sing and sing well, because I'm not a singer. Do you see, we enjoy everybody else's gift. And because that's when you see, really, we're all one. So jealousy disappears, fear disappears, because you don't have to be the best. There's so many people that are the best, much better than you. And you go, wow, what an exciting world we live in. There is so much to learn, so much to be inspired with. So let us be inspired and creative. Because the more inspired you are, the more creative you are, the less time you have for all that nonsense. You will have to drop it. It's hard, not easy. It's a lifetime, all right? So don't rush it.